So who this morning brushed their teeth? Do you think you used the water that would be in this bucket, or in this bucket? This is about half a gallon. This is a gallon, and this is 2 gallons. These big buckets happen to be 5 gallons. We're going to talk about them in a second. But water is one of those resources that we're actually using more of than the earth itself has the ability to regenerate. So, who wants to raise their hand and guess at the number of, could be ounces or gallons, that they used this morning to brush their teeth? First hand up.
2 gallons?
2 gallons is correct. Now, that's a lot of water. And you think, well, maybe we can do a couple things like reduce, reuse, recycle are the kind of mantras of the green movement. Maybe we can reduce some of the water. Do we need to let the water run while we're brushing our teeth? Probably not. So sometimes going back and forth to like get the toothpaste on there is just a small little gesture, and then turning it back on when you rinse. Well, when we look at the total consumption of water that we use over the course of a day, it all starts to add up. So for example, when we took, who took a shower this morning? Some people are taking showers at the end of the day maybe, or tubbies too, right? So a 2.5 gallon a minute shower head will produce in 10 minutes 25 gallons of water. Well, if you can imagine that each one of these is 5 gallons, who wants to guess at how much water we use in a single day per household member? Not the total household, the actual number of gallons each one of you may use over a given day. Any guesses? 150? 25? 300? 30. Okay, so we got a couple in the 25 to 30, 40 range. One more. 50. Okay, so a couple low and a couple high. This stack of buckets, there are 20 of these buckets that are 5 gallons each. That's 100 gallons of water. That's what we use every single day on average in the United States. Now it ends up being double, twice as much as the other industrialized worlds, like the Europeans and all the other countries that you may have studied. What that means is we need to take a month like Earth Month and think, what could we possibly do to reduce, to reuse, to recycle, to help basically keep the water? Because here's the scoop. The whole world is covered with water. Big oceans, right? You guys have been down to the shore. You've been to lakes. You think, boy, there's a lot of water. It rains. But it turns out 97.5% of that water is salty. Can't drink it. That leaves 2.5%. Of that 2.5%, 70% of it is frozen, like a rock, at the Arctic. Now, that doesn't help us much because we can't drink it. What will help us, though, is this little bit of a fraction that's left, about 1% that we can drink. And what happens is, did you study transpiration at school in geology class, with the leaves of the trees evaporate out the water, goes up into the clouds. When it rains, it comes back to the ground soil, and it's like a loop. It soaks down into these underground aquifers. They're like lakes under the ground. And then we drill holes, wells, and we pump it up. And we have reservoirs, like, where the rain's coming. But basically, in any given year, because the population has grown on the earth, we're drinking more water than the earth has the ability to regenerate. And it's billions of gallons, gigantic numbers. So what that means is, instead of 100 gallons every single day, maybe we can start to bring that number down a little bit. We don't have to change our entire lifestyle. We can do a couple things that can start to save water. So what I brought in today is an example of a rain barrel. Now, has anyone ever seen one of these? This is from a company that makes liquor, whiskey, and it's from 1968. You can connect a gutter. All of you probably have at your house a gutter with a little downspout. And this is the kind of thing that starts to make a little bit of that dent in how we use water. This literally connects in here. So from the house, when it rains on the roof, the rainwater collects, goes into the barrel, and then with a little nozzle, this is the kind of thing that we're starting to see more and more is becoming popular because honestly, with landscaping, it's not just your showers and your tubbies. If this was outside, you could use that water for irrigating the plants all around your house. You can pump it up if you want to like actually have like the pump to put in a pitcher. So these are these kind of small symbolic gestures that aren't going to change the whole nature of water consumption, but are going to start to reflect this idea that we care a little bit about what's happening to the planet. Now people always go, well, how's the water get out of the rain barrel? And so what we often recommend is a soaker hose. And this has little tiny holes in it. So what happens is the water can go out into a planting bed, and instead of having to spray it with a hose or water it, you just turn the nozzle and it drips. Well, we don't have to get into the full details of drip irrigation, but if you ever drive by and you see sprinkler systems, a lot of the waste in the water comes from putting the water out into the air. So when you see those sprinkler systems running, what's in effect happening is only a fraction of it's getting down to the ground and the roots of the trees and the plants and the grass that drink it. So drip irrigation and getting the water into the soil is a much more efficient way to use that resource.